Okay, today's lesson is Mod 1, Lesson 2. We're looking at more of the abstract on how to actually move the decimal point instead of focus. In the homework, we'll start off with 36,000 times 10. So in reasonableness, if I'm going to multiply by a number greater than 1, I know my product has to get bigger. So I know I have 36,000, that's what I start with. And it's going to multiply by 10, so it's going to get larger. So that means my decimal point, which is right here, has to move one more place value. And I fill it in. So now we know that the answer is equal to 360,000. On B, this time we're dividing by 10. So I know for dividing by 10, the decimal point is actually at the end of the whole number, but since by 10, it's going to get smaller by one place value. So I'm going to move it one place value. So we know 36,000 divided by 10 is going to equal 3,600. On C, we can start with our place value and it's multiplying by 10. So we know our product's going to get larger. So in order for it to get larger, the decimal has to shift to the right one position because multiplied by 10. So we end up 4 3/10 times 10 equals 43. On D, 4 3/10 divided by 10. Now our number is going to get smaller because we're dividing by a number greater than 1. So the decimal point starts here and it's going to shift 1. So we're going to take our place value and it's going to get smaller. So our decimal has to move to here. So we know 4 3/10 times, divided by 10 equals 43 hundredths. E was done for us. We're going to go to F, 24 divided by 1,000. Now 1,000 we know means 10 times 10 times 10, which is 3 place values. So 24 divided by 3 place values is going to get smaller. So we're going to end up with 24 thousandths. Because the decimal started here, and as it gets smaller, it moves 1, 2, 3 place values. On G, we're multiplying by 1,000. So we know in order to multiply, our product's going to get larger. And we know it's going to move 3 place values to the zeros. And it's going to go 1, 2, and 3 place values. Put in our placeholder. So we know it's going to end up being 4,540. On number 2, says find the products. Okay, we're multiplying by 10, so we know the number's going to get larger, and it's going to move 1 place value, so I'm going to have to add 1 0. That's using our reasonableness. On this one, I'm multiplying by 100, which is two place values. So I know I'm going to add 2 zeros on here when I move the decimal 2 positions. So I start my original number, add my 2 zeros, and I can see I got 1,456,000. Our last one, I'm going to start with the original digits, and I know I'm multiplying by 1,000, so it's going to move 3 place values, and that's going to cause, when my decimal moves, it's going to cause me to have to put 3 zeros in. And when we put our commas in, we can see it's 14,560,000. Number 3, the top one's done for us. On B, it says 1 and 65 hundredths divided by 100. Well, for dividing by a greater than 1, it's got to get smaller. And we're going to move 2 place values because it's 100. So we're starting the decimal point. To get smaller, it'd have to move to the left 1, 2 place values and put a hole in our placeholder. So it'll be 0.0165. Now, if I want to double check it, if I multiplied by 100, I'd move to the right 2 place values, and I get back with the original number. So, where we decided to place the decimal in both quotients, we just talked about it. And if you're dividing by 10, it's going to have to get smaller, so it's going to move to the left. And if you're dividing by 10, it's 1 place value, and if you're dividing by 100, it's 2 place values to the left. Okay, number 4 says Ted says that 3/10 multiplied by 100 equals 300,000. Is he correct? Let's start off and let's say 3/10 times 100, and he says that's equal to 300 thousandths. So that means the 0 would have to go into thousands. That'd be 0.300. So let's see if this works. In order to multiply by 100, we'd have to move 2 place values. So this would end up being 30 instead of 300 thousandths. So no, he is not correct. Now it says use a place value chart. If I wanted to use a place value chart, I could draw it real quick. And I'll put my decimal in here. And it says 3/10, which would be here. That's my tenths, my 100ths, my 1,000ths. And over here would be my ones and my tenths. Well, it says multiply by 100, so I know I'd move 2 place values. So the 3 would go to here, and my 0 would have to go to here. On number 5, Alaska has a land area of 1,700,000 square kilometers. Florida has a land area 1/10 the size of Alaska. What is the land area of Florida? So basically we have to divide by 10 to figure out what tenth is, because if you look at this, if I have this, and this is showing me the land mass of Alaska, which is 1,700,000. And if I divide this into 10, and we're looking for this one area right here. So the only way to find that would be 1,700,000 divided by 10. Well, if I'm dividing by 10, that means it's going to be smaller. So I'd move 1 place value. So I'd end up with 170,000. So they would have 170,000 as the land mass.